Mm-hmm. Hello, good afternoon. Hi, ladies. This is Carla Metzdorf. I am admin to the group Overcoming Anxiety for Stressed Out Moms Who've Had Enough. And I'm also an anxiety coach. And as you come on, please say hi. I'd like to know who's on with me. Let me know where you're from. Hi, ladies. As you come on, say hi. Hi. Ladies, I'm on today. I am going to do a training about awareness. It's not going to be a really big training. It's just something I really want to talk about. Hey, Jen. Awareness, you always hear me say, is absolute key. Hey, Marty. It's very important to have awareness. But before I get into that, I just have a couple of things I want to talk about. So as you come on, hi ladies, thank you for joining me today. I don't usually go live on a Tuesday, but what's going on is, well, I'm not available Thursday or Friday. Can't hear you too well. Oh, you can't hear me, Marty? I'm sorry. I don't know why. Is your phone all the way up on your end? Hi, Lisa. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to hear me so well. If that's a problem for everybody, then I know it's on my end. So if you ladies can't hear me, let me know. Okay. So, all right. So I am not available Thursday or Friday or Saturday or Sunday. I'll be available next Monday and Tuesday. No, I won't be. Not next Monday. I forgot. Monday's Memorial Day already, ladies. It's nuts. I can't believe it's Memorial Day, right? Not working on Memorial Day either, okay? Thank you, Jen, that you can hear me fine. Thank you, Lisa, for telling me that. Okay. So I am not available. Tomorrow I am. Not Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, okay? Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm available. Next Thursday, my mom's having heart surgery. So I will be with my mom from Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's like a week and a half almost of mine not really being available, okay? For my clients, I am making myself available. If you need me, just text me, message me. I'll be at the hospital a lot. I'll probably be bored and looking for things to do. So ladies, if you're in the group and you have postings, I'm not going to be ignoring your postings. I will be checking in the group. I have 2 groups going right now. I will be checking in with both groups. I will be answering clients. The thing is, it will be hard for me to do sessions. I canceled all my sessions. I'm turning off my ads. It's just going to be hard for me. I have to be taking care of my mom, all right? But I will be there. Just send me a message and I will eventually get to answering it, all right? But it may not be in the timing that you want at first. Okay? So that was the first thing I wanted to tell you, my schedule. The second thing was, so you know what, and for some of you, this is new. I do live trainings every Thursday, all right? Like I said, this is different. I don't always do trainings on Tuesdays. Facebook is always changing, always surprising me. So apparently, you know what? I'm facing the window. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Apparently now my lives are being deleted. So here I am saving all my lives so that they're always available to you, but I'm finding out that after 30 days, my lives are being deleted. I used to have a choice. Do you want to delete them or do you want them to be saved? I am no longer given that choice. It's just deleted after 30 days and I just have to redo the live. So, which which is not a problem because I do repeat myself a lot. And for those of you who've been with me for years, you know that I keep doing lives over and over again. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be talking about awareness today, which I do have past lives on. But any live training I do from now on is only going to be available to you for 30 days, and then it will be deleted. I'm sorry, that's not my choice. That is not my choice, okay? It's a Facebook thing, but I do have a way of downloading the lives to my computer where I can eventually send them out to you, but I have to work on that, okay? And I have to remember to do that before they delete. Sometimes I'm giving a notification, and sometimes that seems to go over my head. So hopefully, I will keep on top of that, and I'm just gonna have to keep doing lives over and over, and you know, and that's fine because I do that anyway. So those were two things I really wanted to talk about today, give you my schedule. So for those of you coming on, I have a limited schedule coming up for the next week and a half. Please re-listen to this live to hear that. And live trainings will be deleted in the future, but I will be redoing them. And if you need to watch a live, you have 30 days to do it. I will try to put them on my computer, and then maybe I can send them out to you. Okay, so with that said, what I want to talk about today, ladies, is awareness. Because you have heard me talk about awareness so many times, because without awareness, you can't overcome anxiety. You just can't. So, but this is not going to be my regular long live. I know last week was like crazy. I think I was on for like an hour and a half. There was so much to be said. And there's so much to be said about this as well, because awareness is so key. But I just wanted you to get some facts down, okay? So there's awareness and there's self-awareness. And let me tell you what the difference is, okay? So when you have awareness about something, you are totally, let's say, conscious about your surroundings, about everything around you. Like you're walking around totally aware of what your surroundings are, your world around you, okay? You take notice of it. To have self-awareness, okay, is basically you taking notice of yourself, your inside. So in other words, you have good internal instincts. So in other words, you're aware of things like your thoughts and your emotions and your reactions to things. And that's having like good self-awareness. So you're also aware of like your emotional triggers, you know, things that trigger you. So these are things important to overcome anxiety, because if you're not aware of the fact, okay, that you're anxious for a reason, things are triggering you, the thoughts that you're having, you know, you're not aware how that mind and body are working together, it's going to be hard to overcome, right? So having awareness is just having knowledge, okay? Knowledge about this. Knowledge about whatever it is that you're experiencing, so that you can take proper action to overcome it or to deal with it, to cope with it, however you want to say it, you know? So without awareness, how do you know what needs your attention? How do you know how things should be? Awareness is so important, okay? So that's awareness. That's why it's so important. But let's talk a little bit about how do you bring about self-awareness, all right? Because what's necessary is to really understand those thoughts and those feelings that you're having, to be aware of them and why you're experiencing them, so that you can overcome it, Because a lot of times we misunderstand anxiety. And those misconceptions that you are having about anxiety is what's keeping you from overcoming it. But if you have this awareness of it, you know more about anxiety, you can change your relationship with it and get a different experience. You can overcome it. Okay, so two things externally what helped me overcome anxiety. Okay, first of all, I learned everything about anxiety. I mean, I was not getting right information. When I was trying to overcome anxiety, I was basically being told, just take pills and you'll be fine. There was nobody, I mean, I only found one person who was willing to offer me like information. Everybody else was just telling me, oh, it's a disease, it's an illness, and you gotta, and just take a pill and you'll be fine. And, everybody's anxious. Like, I felt like people were more normalizing it. Ladies, anxiety, I'm going to tell you right now, right here, bring some awareness to you. Anxiety is an emotion. And I know you're told anxiety is a disorder. Now let me tell the difference here. Yes, anxiety is an emotion. It does become a disorder when it starts taking over your life. So if you're going away on vacation, okay, and you're getting anxious about the travel, okay, but then when you get to your destination, you're calm and it passes and you're great. Yeah, you had an anxious moment. That doesn't mean you have an anxiety disorder. That doesn't mean you have to start popping pills, right? But if you go to the doctor and you're telling the doctor, okay, I have anxiety, it's taken over my whole life. Like, I'm not sleeping right. I'm not eating right. I can't drive. I could barely leave my house. I have to quit my job. It's influencing, my relationships, stuff like that. When it starts wreaking havoc on your life, turning everything upside down, it's considered a disorder because it's taking over your life. Does that all make sense, ladies? Okay? Does that make sense? Can you give me a 1 or just tell me yes if that makes sense? That definition between, it's taken over your life. Imelda, oh, I'm sorry, Imelda. Yeah, most of us, I definitely had an anxiety disorder for sure. Absolutely. But a lot of people are under the misconception that anxiety is just a disorder. Okay? And there are a lot of doctors telling people it is a disorder and that's what it is. But no, it is an emotion first and foremost, just like anger, just like sadness, right? It's only a disorder, okay? It's an emotion, and it's only a disorder when it starts taking over your life, but it doesn't have to come to that. That's why having all this awareness, this self-awareness, is so important. It really is important because we need to get our facts straight here. It can help us better understand how to take care of it. So the second thing I did, okay, is once I understood that I had a disorder, okay, yes, I did go on medication because I was not functioning well. So when you're not functioning well, it's a disorder. But when I was able to function, the medication helped me to focus a little bit better. So with that, I did things like I started realizing how my thoughts were affecting how I was feeling. It was like my thoughts were making my anxiety worse because I was telling myself, I don't like this. When is this going away? This sucks. I'm going to be like this forever. I was talking myself into anxiety, and I was realizing just how much my thoughts really influenced how I felt and what I experienced. So it was bringing a lot of awareness. So I was growing in self-awareness because I was realizing too, because I thought I was just anxious because of my mom and my sister, and All my relatives who are anxious, it's hereditary. So much more than hereditary. Anxiety is multifaceted, okay? Yes, you can inherit, but the thing is that is temporary. You can change. You can absolutely change what you've learned from the time you were a little girl. It does not have to stay, okay? You can change the patterns in your mind. In your cells, we have memory. We can change patterns. They know that. There was a time where science didn't understand that, but they know that now. You're not stuck. You can change at any time with who you're being and how you're being. But you need the awareness first. If you're not aware of what you're doing and who you're being, how do you know what to change? Does this make sense, ladies? Do you understand why now having awareness is just so key? Give me a 2 or say yes. If you like having a better understanding now of why you really need to understand anxiety. Can you give me a 2 or just say yes to let me know that this made sense? Do I need to clarify this more? Anybody need clarification of anything that I just said? Marty, you asked me, what did you take? I don't really want to talk about medication, Marty, but I did take medications and I had to try several, but I was on 4 different ones just to get me to function, okay? But what I did too, was I wanted to understand my thoughts, right? I had to understand exactly what it was doing that was keeping me where I was. So when I was understanding that mind-body connection, what I did was like meditation. Meditation was more like staying as present as I could, which is not easy, being present, because the moment you start being present, then like all these thoughts would come in and my mind was always wandering. It's not easy. But I read about observing your thoughts, being an observer, a witness to your feelings, because I was so afraid of those feelings, right, ladies? Those symptoms, you understand what I'm talking about. We get those symptoms. We hate symptoms, right? But we have to have self-awareness of our symptoms. We have to, what I say, sit with them for a little bit. Which all I mean by that is to have awareness of them, to acknowledge them. That's what it means, okay? And it's very hard to stay present, for sure. Be aware of your thoughts and feelings, but to not judge. The moment you start judging, okay, you're going to keep yourself in what I call that anxiety cycle. And if you don't understand my anxiety cycle, I just did a live on that like 2 weeks ago, or was it 3 weeks ago? Time is flying. So make sure you watch that, because Facebook's going to delete it in 30 days. So, even sooner than that now. Oh, such a nuisance, but that's what's happening now. But I will be doing it again, obviously. So, having awareness of your thoughts, of your emotions, how one influences the other, okay, that is going to help you to overcome anxiety. So meditation, journaling is awesome, because journaling will help you to get everything down. Everything that you're feeling, you're thinking, you're feeling, and you just need to be honest with yourself. And then sometimes you go back and read it and go, oh my gosh, do I really think that way? Do I really? And it's not meant for you to just judge yourself. It's more like to have that awareness, because it shows you what needs to be worked on. Does that make sense, ladies? Right? Some of us, we don't like to journal. We don't like it, but it is a good idea. Yeah, Imelda, it's a good idea. And I know, it takes time. But seriously, you don't have to write for hours. Maybe write before you go to bed at night, write down your worries, your fears, so that you don't take them to bed with you. and all of course your gratitude, and maybe throughout the day, if something comes up, something that makes you feel good or something that you're worried about, get it down. The things that are triggering you, get it down so that you can see what the patterns are. You know what I mean? So that this brings awareness of what needs to be worked on. And, I want to say something too. If you're talking to somebody, have you ever had family members be like, oh, you're so judgmental, or you're being so mean or so rude, or in other words, you have family members, maybe more than one, pointing negative things out about you, and you're thinking what is this? Like, everyone's gaining up on me. Why is everybody pointing things out to me? So what I want to say is sometimes feedback, okay, when more than one person in your family, okay, is giving you such feedback over and over, sometimes we need to listen to that. Instead of getting all defensive, what if you actually stood back for a second and went, am I really that way? Maybe trust that your family and friends see something about you and they're being honest because they love you. And maybe this is something that you need to change so that you could be a better person. So also, getting feedback from family and friends is another way of self-awareness. So practicing mindfulness and meditation, journaling, getting feedback. Journaling too helps you to see your values, your morals, things that really influence you to be who you are today. You just look for those patterns. So also, listening. Now, I noticed, in order to be a coach, okay, I had to get really good at listening, right? Because, when I talk to you on the phone, you don't want me just hearing what you're saying. You need me to do some active listening, right? So that I can understand your situation and help you. Without good listening skills, I can't do my job. See, there was a time where I think I heard more than I listened. And there is a difference. Hearing and listening are not the same thing. We can hear a lot of things, but when we're really listening, we grow in awareness. So practicing active listening, like really getting present, like when you're with a friend or a family member, even listening to me right now. Are you listening? Are you hearing me? Are you listening to me? Sometimes when we hear something, our minds are wandering. So we're not really listening. We're just hearing it. Make sense, ladies? So when I'm an angel, well, thank you for saying that, Imelda. And I love angels. So thank you for saying that. Well, yeah, that was a lot. I don't do mess, but just curious as to what helped you. I don't suffer like that, but I do allow others to trigger me. I know about journaling, but never do it, only when, okay. Yeah, I understand. But journaling is a really useful tool. It could be a very useful tool to have self-awareness. And with self-awareness, you can make more changes in your life. But, so observe, are you listening? Are you hearing? But did you listen? Can you repeat what the person just said? So you have to get really good at listening. Also, this is what I'm going to talk about. Now, in another live, I don't know what I called it, but I talked about making assumptions. I may have talked about it. I don't know if I gave that its own live or I talked about it when I talked about mindset, but assumptions. We make a lot of assumptions. And when we make assumptions, we get ourselves into trouble. We get ourselves into trouble when we make assumptions because we don't have all the facts, right? We're not basing what we're thinking about on facts. We're just looking around, hearing things and going, whatever, it means this, it means that. and we base it on what we think to be true, on not maybe what's necessarily the truth. So when we do that, we can get ourselves into trouble because we can our thoughts are very important. So when we're making assumptions, we are telling ourselves things that are not based on real facts, real ideas. It could affect our decision making, and it could cause us to be really uneasy in our bodies, and to be unnecessarily anxious. And if we just had all the facts, maybe we could make different choices, different decisions, and we didn't have to call ourselves so much angst. Does that make sense? Did that just make sense, ladies? So instead of making assumptions, right? When you're making an assumption about something, like, oh, that's really scary. Is it scary? Why did I just say it's scary? What makes it scary? Like, try to get a different perspective about it. Like, ask yourself, like, why did I just think that? Do I know that to be true? Or is that just something I'm assuming? Does that make sense, ladies? When we can speak true to ourselves, okay, we can grow in awareness instead of just making assumptions about how, things around us. When we say, oh, anxiety is something that we can never overcome. Anxiety is something, I've heard that. People come to me and they're like, Carla, why are you asking me what do I want to do when I overcome anxiety? Because you can't overcome anxiety. And I go, oh, really? Because I know I did. And I'm not lying to any of you. How would I know all this if I hadn't overcome anxiety? Anxiety has no power over me. Not at all. So those people are making an assumption based on what they know. They don't have all the facts. They just know that they've been anxious for a while and nothing's working for them, so it can't be true. But it's not the absolute truth. They don't have the awareness. They don't have the whole truth. And one of the other things is like to really grow in self-awareness is really also to practice self-care, taking care of yourself, getting to know yourself, giving yourself grace, compassion, and just like growing in gratitude, really growing in gratitude. Just taking notice of your thoughts, what you normally think about, understand that anything negative in your mind, replacing it with more gratitude, being more positive, have that awareness how what you hold into your mind is going to affect how you feel and what you ultimately experience. When you have that down pat, you can take action to do something different. So basically, ladies, that is the lie for today. So when I was working to overcome anxiety, I had to really learn a lot about what anxiety was. We think we know anxiety because, hey, we've had it for 20 years, 30 years. Of course I know anxiety. But if you know anxiety so well, why are you suffering from it? Because anxiety is just a response, the way you're responding, right? And if you had the awareness of the anxiety cycle and you understood that you can change that response at any time, takes time. takes time, but it's doable, it's achievable, and it can happen. You just have to be consistent in what you do. With all this awareness of anxiety, which is why I formed this group, because when I overcame anxiety and became a coach, I said there has to be other moms out there that suffer from anxiety. There's over 3,000 of you, closer to 4,000 of you in my group, and I turn away people every day. There would have been well over 4,000 if I took everybody into the group. So there are tons of moms who have issues with anxiety. Anxiety is taking over your life. But it does not have to stay that way. I'll never know anxiety. It's a response. I have no clue when it hits. Don't know a pattern. Okay, Tara, but the thing is, why you say I'll never know anxiety? What makes you think you'll never know anxiety? You can absolutely understand what anxiety is. It's a response. I have no clue when it hits. Your anxiety is that feeling, that symptom that you get, of like uncertainty. You know, when you have the unknown and you get that pit in your stomach or your heart races, and if you don't know a pattern, maybe, I don't know when you came on, Tara, but you would definitely stand to rewatch this and know and have more self-awareness. I have no idea why or when it will come. I don't know what triggers it. Okay. I mean, understanding the anxiety cycle would really help you, okay? In understanding who you are. Understanding your thoughts and your feelings would really help you in this instant. So if I were you, what I would recommend is watching the live about the anxiety cycle, and also rewatch this live and growing in self-awareness. These things will help you to understand more about, and I also actually have a live about triggers that I did, I want to say last year. I think I did that last year, but that's still there. It's only the new lives, ladies, the newest lives, the lives that I've been doing. Oh God, the lives that I do like this on the phone, those lives are being deleted. The lives that I tried to do like last week through the event, those lives are not being deleted. You're welcome, Tara. But if you have questions, please reach out to me anytime. But I always say that, there's no such thing as being stuck. No one's really stuck. You feel stuck. Because with the right awareness, okay, with the right information, the right support, accountability, you can and will overcome this, all right? You just don't have all the information. You will overcome this. This is not impossible to overcome, and, and I make myself available as a coach. If you need help implementing any of this information, I have 3 programs that will help you with implementation, and help you get those results and help you, better understand all of this. So, ladies, with that said, what I was saying was, so the lives I do through invite, through the invite that I sent out, those lives are not being deleted. Only the lives I do on my phone. But when I do lives on my phone, I see comments and I see who's on with me. When I do the lives through the computer, when I do it through the invites, I don't see any of that. It's weird. So that's why I choose to do it on the phone. And talking with other coaches that I happen to know, they all do it on their phone because they're also having issues. It's weird. So I don't know what to tell you. So I'm going to do my lives on my phone because it's just easier. But what I'll do is when Facebook starts deleting, because usually I do get notifications. There are some I did not get a notification on that, like, you moms are telling me that they're missing. What they usually give me time to save it to my computer so that I can then, give it to you. So maybe that's what I'm gonna have to start doing. All right, and then redoing them over and over, which is fine because repetition is key. So, ladies, with that said, that's all for today. Does anybody have any questions about awareness and growing in awareness? Any questions at all? I'm just looking through to see if anybody had a question. I thought I saw one, but I think I answered it. If there are no questions, I'm going to end it for today. But awareness is absolutely key. You cannot change what you don't know. When you grow in self-awareness or self-awareness, you can take the proper actions to overcome this, for sure. And there's only one other thing that I wanted to say. There's one thing that I read in the Bible, okay? And to me, it was God saying that you need to have awareness. And it's 2 Corinthians 10:5. I had to write that down because I'm not good at memorizing Bible verses. I'm really not, no matter how many times I read them over and over. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, take captive every thought, make it obedient to Christ. So when I work with clients, one of my formulas that I made for thinking, for thoughts, is my first step is to have that awareness. In other words, to catch yourself, okay? In other words, first you have to have the awareness that you're having a certain thought, that you're doing something that is triggering, okay? So 2 Corinthians is very important because it speaks about awareness. Without awareness, you can't fix it. You can't make it better, So have awareness. Listen to what 2 Corinthians is telling you, to take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. When you start doing that, you start getting back in control of the thoughts. Your thoughts influence your emotions, which influence how you respond and what you experience. Okay, ladies, I don't see any questions. So if there's no questions, I am going to get going. So for those who are just coming on, please re-listen to this live training because I made some announcements in the beginning of it. And I will see you all in the group. Yes, I will be busy, but I will be there for my clients and I will be in and out of the group. You'll see me posting and responding to posts, but I'm not welcoming more members into the group for maybe a couple weeks, and I won't be meeting with clients for a couple weeks. I'll just be responding to them more immediate, as opposed to somebody who's not a client. But I will be there for you. I'm not abandoning anybody. No worries. So be well, ladies. Take care. And please pray for my mom. If you could do that, please pray for her. I would really appreciate it. I keep you in my prayers every day. Be well. Take care. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye.